I remember me and my teacher, we end up going inside the closet. And the first thing she says to me was, oh, so like, did you do the homework yet, Bubba? And I remember just looking at her thinking, what in the world am I doing in the closet playing 7 Minutes in Heaven with my teacher? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but embarrassing story. So this story all starts off in the year of grade 8. Now, grade 8's the final year of middle school for me. And let's just say middle school is a whole freak show. Literally, it's the years where basically everyone's hitting puberty and things start to make more sense between your legs. I know that sounds really too much to say, but YouTube, please understand this is for educational purposes. Now, going on, I remember my grade 8 year, there was a girl in my class that not a lot of people liked for some reason. And by people, I mostly mean the guys. I really have no idea why a lot of guys in my school did not like this girl specifically, but she was not really well known or liked between all the dudes in my school. But as for the girls, well, almost every girl in my school absolutely loved her. I have no idea how this even worked. I didn't know if she was, lesbian or something. But at the same time, we were in grade 8 and we didn't know any better. So honestly, I had really no idea why. Until one day I remember I was in my middle school walking down the hallway to my next class. And this girl that a lot of girls liked, but not a lot of guys liked, ended up walking up to me. She walks up to me and says, hey, Bubba, I don't know if you knew, but like, I'm having like a birthday party. And like, I was thinking, do you want to like maybe go? And as I was deciding in my head, I remember seeing a bunch of guys just staring at me thinking, yo, why is that girl talking to Bubba, bro? Is he snitching? And in my mind, as I knew they were just saying that, I was like literally trying to focus on the conversation at hand. And I said to her, yeah, I mean, I'm down. Where's the birthday party? Oh, it's totally at my place. A lot of girls said that like they thought you were like cool to go and like, you didn't hate me or anything. So, I'm trying to make it like more boy-girl party. And like my parents are totally cool with it. So do you want to like go? Yeah, sure. Just send me the invite. I remember she ends up texting me the address and I start walking away from her. And as I was walking away, I remember two of my friends ended up walking up to me saying, yo, Bubba, why'd you talk to that girl, bro? Everyone's questioning it. All the guys are concerned. Oh, she just invited me to her birthday. Are you going? Well, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't I? Bubba, bro, as a homie, me and him are gonna show up with you, all right? You guys are gonna show up to the birthday party with me? Yeah, and don't worry, she can't say no because we're the cool kids. Sure. Okay, if that's how it works. Yeah, sure, you guys can go. I really had no idea why, but to be fair, in my friend group back when I was in grade 8, we had the really confident dude and we had the really annoying dude, and then there was just me, the quiet one. And knowing this group dynamic, we always got into crazy shenanigans. But let's just say this girl's birthday was one of the most insane things ever, because I remember the day of the party ended up happening. And I remember after school, everyone started talking about this party, and a lot of girls were coming up to me, actually, funny enough, and saying, hey, Bubba, are you going to like that girl's party? Yeah, I got invited. I'm bringing two of my friends. Okay, well, we'll see you there. Oh my goodness. And they all got excited. A lot of girls were excited for this party, and I had really no idea why. But then finally, when I ended up basically going to my final class to end off the day, I remember my teacher ends up saying, okay, class, so this weekend, do not email me. I'm celebrating my daughter's birthday, but have the homework done by Monday. All right, have a good weekend. And I remember thinking, crazy how she has a daughter that's birthday is the same day as the birthday party I'm going to. But right as I walk out of the classroom, I remember I go home, I get dressed, I tell my mom I'm going to a birthday party. She was totally surprised because usually in grade 8, I was a loner and a really boring kid. Wow, my mom really thought less of me that time. But you know what? That's not the point. After I got ready and everything, I ended up basically begging my dad for a ride, and he ended up driving me to the birthday. And my dad ended up telling me right before leaving, he said, Bubba, if you need me to come pick you up and anything weird happens, you tell me and I'll get you, okay? Yeah, no problem, Dad, is what I told him. And then I ended up heading inside the party. When I went into this grade 8 middle school party, I remember I ended up seeing a lot of girls there, and I was like, okay, I see a lot of girls there from my school. But then out of nowhere, I see my two friends running up to me saying, Bubba, do you know whose house this is? No, why? And that's when I realized whose house it was. It was my teacher's house, because it was her daughter that invited me to her daughter's birthday. Does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense, but if it did, you guys know what I'm talking about. Basically, I was in my teacher's house, and I was like, yo, this is really weird. And as I see my teacher looking at me, and I'm staring at her, and she walks up to me and my friend saying, oh, hey, Bubba, I didn't expect my daughter to invite you guys. Yeah, no, we didn't know you lived here. Well, I did say my daughter was having a party, didn't I? Yeah, no, you did in class. We just didn't know, it was your daughter. What do you mean? Do you guys not know my daughter's last name? It's the same as mine. No, we don't really know each other's last names, which to be fair, in my grade 8 year, I didn't know anyone's last name. Okay, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. But I remember, as awkward as that conversation was, the girl that ended up inviting me, the teacher's daughter, ends up seeing me and runs up to me and gives me a hug. I end up giving her a birthday present, and then that's where everything just starts going really bad, because this girl really wanted to have like a proper girl and boy party, but there was only 3 dudes, which is the 2 friends I had and me. And as for the girl side of things, well, there was literally like a bunch of girls, so the ratio was like 3 to like 15, which is super weird in my opinion. It's super awkward. But I remember it got to the point where as we were all hanging out in the living room, just talking and mingling, and I guess really just hanging out with each other like grade 8s do, I remember this girl that was her birthday ended up standing up on the coffee table saying, okay guys, we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play 7 minutes in heaven. Everyone get in the circle. And at that moment, I was just thinking in my mind, how in the world are we gonna play 7 minutes in heaven with only 3 dudes and 15 girls? Like, this is making no sense whatsoever. But I remember we all ended up hopping into a circle, and this is where things get awkward, because I remember my teacher walks in saying, oh my goodness, are you guys playing 7 minutes in heaven? I used to play this all the time. Let me join in. And that's when I looked at my teacher and looked at my friends, and my friends were totally confused on what in the world this teacher was doing. Like, we thought she was trying to make, like, you know, 7 minutes in heaven more PG, I guess. But honestly, this teacher full on just started to play. And as we started going through a few rounds of 7 minutes in heaven, automatically it was my turn to spin the bottle. And I remember as I was spinning the bottle, I was praying that it would land on anyone but my teacher or her daughter. And guess who it lands on? It landed on my teacher. At that moment, I started to panic inside, and I'm like, bro, like, do I have to? Is there like any way I can not do it? But then this teacher ends up standing up first and saying, okay, Bubba, let's go inside the closet. And me, I felt terrified, and I really did not want to stand up. But then she ended up grabbing me by my shoulder, and she ends up basically standing me up, and we go inside the closet. As we're in the closet, I remember she ends up closing the door, and the closet was like super dark. Like, I could not see anything. But as I'm in there with my teacher looks at me and says, oh, so Bubba, I'm just curious, did you end up finishing the homework? You're asking me about homework when we're in the closet, is what I told her. And that's when the teacher ended up saying something more crazy, which was, oh, I mean, if you want to do something else, just say so. And that's when she ended up basically pushing herself towards me, and we ended up doing the devil's tango in the closet. Yeah, I know, really crazy, but at the same time, super, super weird. And I remember we ended up being there for more than 8 minutes. Like, no joke, as the kids were literally yelling, okay, time's up, guys. Me and this teacher did not come out because we were trying to put on our clothes as fast as possible. And the most awkward part was that her daughter ended up yelling inside the closet saying, Mom, you can come out now with Bubba. And me and this teacher, we ended up getting everything on as quick as possible. And my teacher was trying to speed run fixing her hair, as I ended up just basically trying to buckle up my pants. And finally, when the closet door opens, we both walk out as if nothing happened. And right after the party, when everything was over, I remember my dad went to go pick me up, and as I'm walking out her door, my teacher grabs me by the shoulder and says, Bubba, this is our secret, and no one knows anything but me and you, okay? Yeah, I'll see you in class. And that's when I ended up leaving. I got inside my dad's car and pretended nothing happened. And I'm not gonna lie, luckily for that whole school year, my grade 8 year, I didn't have to do any homework. My teacher wouldn't give me any, just to keep her secret. I remember me and this waitress, we went into the walk-in cooler because we had to spend 7 minutes in there. And I remember once we got in there, she said, honestly, Bubba, like, I always thought you were like super cute. Like, what? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing, but I gotta say, crazy story. This story all takes place back when I was in grade 12, or technically speaking, I was actually graduated high school. So I was straight out of high school. I was 18 years old, and to be honest, at this time, the only thing I focused on was my future and trying to figure out what I want to do next. But back after when I graduated high school, I ended up working at a restaurant because, well, I wasn't a content creator yet, so this wasn't a full-time thing until you guys made it happen, which thank you guys so much for that, by the way. But going on with the story, I worked at a restaurant for a bit, and I remember I actually really liked it. The restaurant I worked at was very laid back, and it was really kind of just chill, and a lot of the people I worked with were also super young, around my age. And even though our managers were a lot older than us, like I want to say in their 30s, about to hit 40s, they would basically be super laid back, trying to be cool kids like us, apparently, or to get to relate to us. I don't know, a lot of adults do this, which is really cool in my opinion, but at the same time, it could lead to a lot of trouble. But I remember one time when I was working a shift, out of nowhere, I ended up seeing my manager walk up to us saying, hey guys, in the kitchen, real quick, I got an announcement. We're going to be doing kind of a after party on Friday, very late at night. If you guys are able to make it, please tell me. We're going to be trying to have everyone that works here together and closing down the restaurant for it. At this moment, a lot of us were like down for it, obviously, and we were all pretty excited to see what was going to go on. But as for me, I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of on the fence about it because I didn't really get along with anybody, nor did I really like socialize with anyone at the workspace. I mostly just kept to myself because, well, I don't know, it was a very stressful time back when I was just graduating high school, and I didn't think too much of it. So while all the guys in the kitchen that I worked in ended up going up to the manager, signing up their name, I remember after my shift, I ended up basically getting ready to leave, and while I was at my locker getting ready, my manager ends up walking in saying, hey Bubba, you're the one guy in the kitchen that didn't walk up to me trying to join this party. You're not down to join in? Like, what's going on with you, man? I don't know. I got a lot of things going on, I guess. I don't know. I might go. I'm not really sure. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Bubba. A lot of the girls in the front of house want to see you there, so my opinion, just show up, man. It's good for work. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't surprised that he wanted me to go, but when he said the front of house wanted me to go, that's when I was kind of shocked because I didn't really speak to any of them other than when I had to put like glasses away at the front bar. So at this moment, I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, sure, I'll show up, I guess. I'll make an appearance. Okay, awesome. I can't wait to see you there. And he ends up walking away. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, even though I told him that I would show up, in my mind, I actually really did not want to show up. In my opinion, I was probably gonna just say like I had a final I had to study for or something, because at the same time, I'd rather just be home playing video games instead of hanging out at work. Like, I don't know what kind of people like to stay at their workplace and hang out, but definitely was not for me. So I remember the next day I ended up basically going into work and I decided to just do my normal shifts because I usually worked around 4 shifts a week. But then I realized when I went to go look at the schedule that the schedule has changed and I ended up getting a closing shift on Friday. Now, once again, like my manager said earlier, Friday was the party. So no matter what, even though I was closing, afterwards would be right away the party. So at that point, I was like, you know what? There's no point in me leaving and just calling in sick because I'm going to be there anyway. So I remember Friday rolls around and I remember I ended up basically working the shift. And at the start of my shift, I started to realize that there was a lot of people that I worked with just hanging out the whole time when I was working. It got really annoying because they would order food and then I would have to make food and then wash their dishes. It was just really upsetting. But then right after, as the restaurant closed fully and basically they were all getting ready for the party, I was basically cleaning up the kitchen as fast as I could to see if I could sneak out of there and not get noticed. But right as I was about to finish cleaning, out of nowhere, I ended up seeing a waitress that I worked with end up coming to the back and saying, "Hey, Bubba, are you done? Because everyone's ready for you and waiting for you, actually." Wait, everyone's waiting for me? Well, yeah, it's the party, dummy. Like, aren't you gonna come hang out? Now, at this moment, I'm not gonna lie to you. The waitress that was talking to me that worked at the front of house was really attractive. And honestly, I probably could use a good distraction. I basically tried to make my mind up and make it a good idea to go to this party. So me still being in my uniform, I ended up going to the front of house and I ended up hanging out with everyone. And it was actually a pretty good time. Even though most of them were a lot older than me by like a year or two, I will say this, it was really fun hanging out with everyone, kind of getting along with people that I never really talked to in the workplace. But then I want to say this is where things got really, really weird. Because I remember our manager, like I said earlier, he tries to act young and basically try to be cool. And right after he finished with this bottle he was drinking, he ended up standing on top of a table at the restaurant. He ends up yelling out, "All right, guys, let's play spin the bottle." At this moment, I remember it was so funny because all the kitchen staff, including me, were just looking at each other. And then all the waitresses were just kind of hyped up and excited. And me, I'm just kind of thinking like, is this really a good idea? Like, do you really want to poop where you eat? Like, is this safe? Is this even something I should bring up to HR because like it's our manager saying it? I don't know. I didn't want to play, but then obviously our manager started pushing all of us towards this table and we all sat down and he got on top of the table and started spinning the bottle. I remember all of us just ended up staring at that bottle, basically praying that it wouldn't land on any of us. But one by one, people started going into the cooler and basically, you know, doing the 7 minutes in heaven, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically when you spin a bottle and wherever it lands on from the person spinning the bottle, they have to spend 7 minutes with that person in a private room and anything could happen in that 7 minutes. And by anything, I mean anything. So me, I remember I basically saw a lot of people spinning and going in and out and it got to a point where it got pretty boring for some people. But then out of nowhere, I remember there was a girl that ended up spinning the bottle and this girl was the girl that actually came to the back of the house back when I was actually finishing up my shift and the one that invited me into the restaurant for the party. She ends up spinning the bottle and me, I'm just sitting there just like seeing this bottle spin around and around and around until it finally ended up landing on me. She looks at me in shock, but at the same time, not like a shock like she didn't want to do it, in a shock like she was ready to take me back there. And I remember I stood up while everyone was like going, "Ooh." And I'm just kind of panicking thinking, okay, you know what? This will be in and out. Just maybe we could just talk about work and just move on. We go back there and instantly, right as we enter inside the cooler, she looks at me and says, "Bubba, you know, I've always kind of like thought you were cute, right?" What? I mean, I don't know. I'm just playing the game, okay? Just go along with it. Well, I mean, like, it's supposed to be 7 minutes in heaven. So are you like being honest with me? And at that moment, she ends up coming really close to me and she actually ends up making out with me. And while one thing led to another, I'm not gonna lie, I never did the devil's tango. Less than 7 minutes until that day. I remember right afterwards, I ended up basically putting on my uniform again and she put on hers because we were both working the late night shift. And basically we ended up coming out and we ended up going straight into the restaurant where everyone else was. And when everyone saw us come back, this girl was like perfectly smiling while I was like coming in, basically kind of like in shock, kind of what just happened. And it was very obvious to everyone that she got some. And I remember my manager ended up walking up to me saying, "Yo, Bubba, did I tell you you're gonna enjoy this party or what?" Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I felt super uncomfortable that my manager said that to me. But not only that, the next couple weeks leading on from that happening, I am not joking, my manager would always bring up that moment. And this girl, she would always, and I mean always, try to hit me up, ask me on a date, all this stuff, to the point where I ended up actually just quitting. I ended up quitting the restaurant job because, well, there was so much drama that would happen, and I guess that's what happened when a lot of young people end up working at the restaurant. I don't know, my opinion, don't poop where you eat. This is a common saying that everyone needs to understand. Okay, so when I say the word 7 minutes in heaven, I think we've all played the game. If you haven't played 7 minutes in heaven, are you really high schooler is what my question would be. But today's story does get really crazy, and I just want to say, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. If this video hits 1,000 likes, I will film a video shirtless. Why am I doing that? Can I even do that on YouTube? I can? Okay, well, yes, I will film a video shirtless for you guys. I feel like people are gonna dislike the video now. Okay, anyways, continuing on. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane story. So today's story takes place back when I was actually in grade 10. Now, in grade 10, I played the game 7 Minutes in Heaven in many different places. I played it at, McDonald's. I played it at a house party. But one place I've never played 7 Minutes in Heaven in was my school. Now, school is usually a place where people learn, people, sit around, jerk off, and all this dumb stuff that, most kids do nowadays in school. But I remember one time, we ended up getting an announcement call basically on like the speakers of the school, and it said something like this. Okay, would all the grade 10s be listening? We're going to have a amazing time where you guys get to stay in the school overnight sleeping. So if you want to stay in the school overnight, hang out with friends, go right ahead. It starts tomorrow at 8 p.m. Be there. Basically what this meant was that a bunch of high schoolers, grade 10s, got to stay in school overnight and basically get to hang out with each other overnight in school. Now, usually I would want to stay away from school, and to this day, I still hate school. But at the same time, staying overnight in a high school, now that's interesting. I remember throughout the school day, all our friends were like talking about this, saying, whoa, like, should we go in there? Should we do it? Like, I don't know, like, what are we gonna do? Is there gonna be like parents there and stuff? But at the same time, when me and all the guys were deciding if we should go, all the girls throughout the school were saying that they're going. All the girls wanted to go. All the girls wanted to basically stay in the night at school. And honestly, at that point, knowing that a bunch of girls were going, it was an automatic decision for us guys to go as well. Because, girls, guys, it's the whole side. You guys get what I mean. Like, come on. You guys are not dumb. You guys are kids, bro. Come on. You guys get this. And from there, basically, I remember me and the guys, we were all like basically heading home that night. And that night, the day before the whole thing happened, me and all the guys were talking over Xbox, basically discussing, what we're gonna do. Are we gonna bring anything? And one of my friends decided to say, yo, bro, not gonna lie, I'm gonna bring a bunch of cool things to do. And I'm also gonna bring some booze. Now, if you guys don't know what booze is alcohol. And before I continue on with the story, YouTube, I know you want me to do this more because I got an email from you guys saying this. Yes, guys, do not underage drink. Underage drinking is not cool. It's not special. You're not cooler underage drinking. Don't do this. Am I good? Am I good? I'm good. Okay, perfect. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember from there, basically, I really didn't know how I felt about drinking at school. But at the same time, I mean, it is what it is. I guess it wouldn't kill anybody. And also, like, adult supervision would be less there. It's not like we're there to actually learn anything where we actually need our brains active. So I ended up saying to them, yeah, I mean, I'm down. Why not? And then after that, I remember that's when things ended up going on a downward spiral. Because the next day, the day of when everything was supposed to happen, throughout the school day, everybody, and I mean every single student, was talking about all the things they wanted to do that night. And I remember there was one popular kid in my school. We're going to name him something. We're going to name him Eli. Eli wanted to do something so extreme and so crazy to the point where he wanted to host party games that require us to drink more. Knowing this, obviously, not a lot of people wanted to back down, and the girls were ecstatic. I guess girls like drinking. Once again, don't underage drink. So I remember that day of, basically, I ended up going home, packing my sleeping bag and getting everything I need to have a good night. And I even got a giant air mattress that my mom gave me that she used to use with my dad. To do what? I'm not going to ask them because it's none of my business. Hopefully it's not what I'm thinking. And then afterwards, I ended up basically taking that air mattress and everything I needed to go to school. When I got to school, I remember I ended up basically bringing everything in. It was super late at night. And basically there were a lot of students at the school. When we were all there, I remember I ended up meeting up with my friends. We ended up basically like, settling down a spot that we wanted to be in. And the place we chose to go to was the theater room. Now, if you guys don't know, the theater room is basically like a stage. And on stage, there's like, dressing rooms and stuff. And there's easy access to bathrooms. And it's a place where many teachers don't like to go because for some reason, they just have like this like weird feeling of going to the theater room. And knowing that a lot of the LGBTQIA students weren't going to be there, it was the perfect opportunity for us guys to just take it over. So me and all the guys, we ended up basically placing our stuff there and basically taking over the theater room. When we were all in there, I remember all the guys, like, we sat down, we started like hanging out and stuff. And then one of the buddies that said he was bringing alcohol ended up bringing it in. And basically we started, taking a couple drinks. We ended up drinking. And then one thing led to another. We recognized that a guy was, peeking through the door, seeing what we were doing. And he ended up walking in saying, yo, you guys got alcohol? And that's when we realized it was the popular kid in our school, Eli. Now, Eli, when he found out about it, let's just say a lot of other students started figuring out that we had alcohol, and a lot of them started bringing their alcohol to the theater room. And obviously there was like, you know, teachers walking around the school, making sure like, you know, people were safe, but a lot of the main students that went to the gym. So the teachers thought, oh, all we have to do is secure the gym and everything's okay. Knowing that we had basically a bunch of students drinking in a classroom all by themselves without supervision, you already know things are about to get ugly. We all start basically hanging out, doing our thing. We all take swigs, you know, all that stuff that, you know, teenagers do. You teenagers, if you're watching this video and you guys are in high school, you know what I'm talking about, okay? I know you know what I'm talking about. We do all that until Eli decides to stand on like, you know, this like set prop thing that we have there. I don't know, some sort of like little stage. And he stood on it saying, all right, we're gonna play a game. Let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. Okay, is what everyone said. And all of us ended up getting in a circle and we basically started playing the game. Now, 7 Minutes in Heaven is a very simple game. Basically, it's when you get two people, put them in a room for 7 minutes, and whatever happens, happens. You can say what you want afterwards, but basically, what 7 Minutes in Heaven is supposed to do is that you're supposed to do the devil's tango. Now, we all started basically, you know, playing the game. There were people that went in there and did absolutely nothing, and there were people that went in there, and let's just say their hair was really messed up, and putting on clothing, well, they're not doing it fast enough. Let's just say that. And one thing I realized that Eli, the most popular kid in our school, really wanted to reinforce this rule that basically, if you go over 7 minutes, we're allowed to walk in on you. Yeah. So if let's say you're in the middle of hitting it from the back, if you pass 7 minutes, Eli's walking in. So basically, we all had like a timer on our phones. Me, I had a watch actually. I had an Apple Watch. It was an old one, but I had an Apple Watch that I basically set a timer for if I ever get selected. And basically, one thing led to another. I ended up getting, you know, basically selected from a girl that I was actually pretty interested in at the time in high school. And she was a really attractive girl. She was a blonde girl, very beautiful. And she had one of those smiles where the more you look at her, the more cuter she gets. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a weird type of woman, but you know, she was hot and she had a nice pair of cherries. So either way, I wasn't losing. And let's just say, I remember me and her, we ended up basically getting up and going into the change room. The change room's where we went to because it was just one long hallway that guys and girls went into. So me and her, we went into the change room. And when we went in there, she looked at me saying, I mean, what do you want me to do? I don't know, whatever you want is what I said. So that's when she straight up just decided to bend over and literally just start like, you know, facing her buttocks towards me. And that's when we did the devil's tango. We basically did that. And one thing I realized is that she's a really loud person, like a really, really loud person when she's doing the devil's tango. So as I'm like, you know, all you're hearing in the other room is just basically women noises and moaning. And I remember I was so like kind of just weirded out because I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And yeah, let's just say I did not check the timer on my watch when we were playing the game. And Eli decides to just walk in. And when he walked in, the first thing he saw was my enormous eggplant. And I'm not joking when I say this. His jaw dropped heavily. Like it went like this to... like, it was crazy. To be fair, it was a massive eggplant back when I was in high school. It still is a massive eggplant. I shouldn't be saying that. It's YouTube. What am I doing, bro? Is this even a kid's... Can I switch to Rumble? Is this even legal? Anyways, from there, let's just say one thing led to another. Things got really insane. And the girl was totally embarrassed, but she ended up pulling her pants up in time, so I guess she was fast. And me, well, I didn't care anymore, to be honest. I just walked out of there, and everyone's just clapping for me, you know, because they know I did the deed. And yeah, that was the time where I did 7 Minutes in Heaven at school. Kind of insane, kind of weird, but I mean, hey, it's just another one of those experiences. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. But before I end the video off, I am live on Kick streaming and basically, you know, telling you guys these stories live. So if you guys want to watch me live, talking face to face, telling these amazing stories and playing games with you guys probably, make sure you guys join in live on the Kick stream. Other than that, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.